So the helicopters came that night. Then what happened when they came? I remember the night very well. We were excited because we have never seen anything like that before. I remember the night was already bright from the stars and the moon, because that's how we get light. We don't have electricity, so we rely on the moon and the stars for light. But the night when they came, they were flying really low to us, that the light that came from them, from the helicopters, lit up the village even more. So we were super excited because nothing like that has ever happened to us. I remember they were, like I said, they were flying really low, and because they were flying so low, there was dust all over the place as they were circling in place. So all the kids were excited, and some of the adults too. We all ran to them and we just started yelling and waving at them. Then I remember hearing a sound that I have never heard before. The sound was very fast and it was loud, and it was them shooting down at us. What was that night like for you? That night, it was a very chaotic night. Just because we didn't know what was happening, we weren't prepared for any of that, so we didn't know what to do or where to run to. Everybody just went crazy trying to escape. I remember every time a bullet would hit the ground, there would be dust just rising up. As they continued to shoot down on us, people were just trying to escape. Parents were calling their kids. Kids were running into each other. The dust was thick and the smoke was thick. It was just a very scary confusion time for all of us, just because we weren't prepared for any of that. So I remember people started running into homes, and other people were running into bushes and the forest and stuff like that. It sounds like it was a scary night. Like, how did you make it through? I almost didn't make it that night. As they were shooting at us and people were running and there were people running into each other, I remember either I tripped over somebody or I was knocked down by somebody. So I end up on the ground, and every time I tried to get up, somebody would knock me back down. It was super hard to breathe. I remember there was tears in my eyes because of the dust was so thick. The smoke was thick, and it was just hard to see where I was. It was hard to see, period. So yes, every time I tried to get up, somebody would knock me down. I remember the helicopters started chasing the people that were trying to escape into the forest. As they were chasing those people, and more people have already escaped into the forest, I was able to get up on my feet. And as soon as I was on my feet, I just ran. And I remember just running, and I ran until I couldn't see anymore. And that was because I was already in the middle of the forest, and the trees were too big, and they kind of blocked the light from coming in. So that was the reason why I stopped running, is because I wasn't able to see where I was going. So yeah, it was a chaotic night for all of us. You mentioned that you had to sleep outside and on the ground. What was going on in your mind that night? Yes, I had to sleep on the ground outside by myself. I was I was confused and scared. Like I said, none of us were prepared for what just happened. We weren't. There wasn't any warning. There wasn't like any sign of like what we were supposed to do if something like that happened. So it was a very scary moment for me. Confusing because I was by myself. I think I was by myself. Like I said, it was dark and I couldn't really see what was around me. So it was very scary and confusing night for me. It was definitely by the grace of God that I made it through that night. Not only from the attack, but also having to sleep outside in the opening when there could have been a wild animal that could have attacked me, got bitten by a snake, or something else that was poisonous. So it was definitely by the grace of God that I made it through the night. That's the first time that the war came into your village. Yes, that was the first night that they came to us. But before that, we saw a bright light and heard sound that we have never heard before in the far distance. I remember after we heard that sound and the light, the parents kind of kept us close. I remember we were instructed not to go outside and play. So every time we would come home from the farm, we would just be indoors. The sound and the light kind of went on for a while. So we kind of just became accustomed to it. And so after a while, we just kind of went on with our lives. So the war was already happening, but we didn't know about it until it came into our village. Just because, like I said, there wasn't any information that came in to tell us, hey, there is a war happening in the country. So that was the first night that the war came into my village. So that was the first attack that almost destroyed Fatu's life. Stay tuned as the story continues.